Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs, your award-winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. We are back, fourth show of the week. Busy week here on Last Word on Spurs as we build up to the big match preview, of course. Burnley to come for Tottenham Hotspur in the FA Cup this coming Friday or today for our viewers and listeners on the morning commute. You guys know what this means to me. One of, if not the biggest matches in Tottenham season, the FA Cup is upon us. The magic of the cup, of course. Can you believe magic of the cup? We're recording it on Thursday and there's an FA Cup nights on Thursday. What is going on with this competition? But listen, I'm joined by three fabulous returning guests. Just a reminder, if you're listening to the first time, where have you been? We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're of course on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook too. Joining me as ever for a lot of these build-up shows. She's back with me for the game after as well. I've got the wonderful Christina Zandes back with me. Chris, fully recovered, voice okay? How are you?
Feeling alive again. Yeah, it's great. God, oh my God, that took so long to get over. Don't know if it was the illness from Tottenham. I have no idea. I actually do think I got that cold from Tottenham when I saw you. So don't know whether to blame you or the team. So
blame us both. Why not? Blame us both.
Blame it.
Listen, we're in a good space at the moment. And look, there's a bit of a musical themed element to this show, which, look, we don't demand on this one because that tells you the kind of industry that we're going in, the kind of unbelievable people that we're bringing onto this show once again. They are not first-timers. They're making their return. This man needs no introduction of a return to this show. Saw him the last couple of weeks down at the Naeem night. We had a lot of fun there. We've got the wonderful Jah Wobble. John Wobble back on Last Word on Spurs. John, looking comfy. FA Cup coming. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, when Tottenham's good, I'm good. So New Year, with us beating Bournemouth, me and the missus went out to see New Year in, and it all hinged on if Tottenham won. I don't really give a fuck where we go, what we do, because I'm just glowing. I'm happy. You know, we lose. You could take me to, you know, like give me £1 million. I'd be happy with £1 million, but you could take me to some really, you know, top class. And it's going to spoil the night wherever you take me because Tottenham. But we won. I watched the highlights 50, 60 times. Even, you know, coming up the new year, I'm looking at the goals again. You know, so I was well happy. So yeah, when Tottenham's good, I'm good.
Absolutely. John, I always got to say, whenever you're here, it's always fun and games, mate. So we love having you back on Last Word on Spurs. It's always a pleasure. I always say when John comes on, you're not sure what can happen because it's always fun and games when John is on. So love having John back. Another man we're delighted to have back on Last Word on Spurs. He reminded me off air that he's seen off the last four managers and asked me what does he get in return. I mean, look, if I had that for every single guest, we'd be out of business. But look, that is the nature of this show. I'm delighted to welcome producer, remixer, DJ, back on Last Word on Spurs. We're going to have a Roska in the house. Roska, how are you, my man?
I'm good. Good to be back. Literally every show I've done, new manager's been around. So yeah, good to see this one. Hopefully Ange stays around for a long time. So yeah, excited for the show, man.
Listen, we've got to try and change that, Ross, and try and bring you back on very, very soon so we break that curse of letting the manager 100%. Go every time you're on. We will try and make it happen, most certainly for sure. Listen, it is a big week for Tottenham Hotspur, of course, of the FA Cup. I know to many, this is a really, really still prestigious, honest competition, and one that I feel for many still take it as really one of the most important days or games in the calendar. That's where I stand. The FA Cup means a lot to me. Before we go into the Cup, I'll just get everyone's thoughts on it. I mean, John, I'm not going to aid you here. I would dare do that on Last Word on Spurs, and I would dare think of the reaction I would get. But when I say to you the FA Cup, what does that mean to you still as a Spurs fan? Does that still have a real emotional tie?
Well, I remember when we were the record holders of it up to the 90s, I think. You know, with 7 times have we won it. That was a record for a good while. No one else had won it as much as us. We were well ahead of Arsenal, and of course they're now well ahead of us at FA Cup wins. But I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying at one point in the not so recent past, we had the record amount of FA Cup wins, believe it or not, probably just as the Premier League era dawned, you know. And I grew up, we'd never been beaten at Wembley. We'd never lost a major cup final up to 1974, believe it or not, you know. And we were known as a kind of cup team. Once we'd won the double, after that, I was a baby when we won the double. But from then on, from the 70s and 80s into the 90s, Tottenham were known as a very good cup side. And of course, the FA Cup was made for a lot of people, had more kudos than the winning the league title in those days. It was a really glamorous competition, you know. So it means a lot. I would love to win something, but having said that, I quite agree. I really like Angie's comments about all this stuff, you know, where he says it's about making a good team. I think he was kind, to paraphrase him, when you make a good team and you just start winning more and more games, as a byproduct, you will win tournaments. And it's no good just trying to set yourself up to go and win one cup this year, because as he said, what, will the fans be happy with that? No, they're going to want you to win another cup and another. So you've got to set the whole system up. You know, it's no good just thinking, well, we must go on. As I said before we come on air, you become like the desperate bloke who can't pull, you know, the newly divorcee kind of geezer who's going out and he's going to pull. So he's got his best chat up lines and he's at the bar, desperate. Hello, do you come here much? Can I get you a drink? You know, and it's all very creepy, very uncomfortable, bound to fail. So, you know, you're better off just to kind of develop yourself as a person, say, in that situation. And then you, by attraction, you will get where you'll be with who you're supposed to be, because you become somebody people want to be with, rather than some desperate geezer trying to pull, and you just end up putting pressure on yourself. Whereas if you just become a great football team that tries to win every game on, you know. So that's my view. I'd love to win it, but you have to think really it's more about building a great and winning side. That's what it's about.
Got to say, 7 minutes in, you're getting dating advice from Jah Wobble. Don't tell me this show does not give you everything you need whenever you need last one in your life. There you go, the wonderful Jah Wobble. I told you, you never know what's coming. That is what you come for. That's the entrance fee right there.
Well, I am, but I've done a bit of love guru work on the side. So on social media with a geezer, split up from his wife, asked me how to get her back. And I said, the talking's done. I said, you need to get over there. As she got a drive, long story cut short, got him to pull up outside, get on the drive with the security lights on, and woo her back using the mode of contemporary dance to win her back. And apparently the police were called. You know, it didn't go down well. But anyway, that was it. It's just a work. I thought it was worth a go, using body movement, you know, to try and convey his sorry and how he wanted to get back together again and all that, rather than talking. I said, enough talking. Enough of the speaking therapy. So I've done some love guru work. But anyway, it's about Tottenham, not me, this show. So let's crack
Absolutely.
on.
We're going to switch from Jerry Springer back to last word on Spurs. Chris, bringing you in. Look, I think we all say how important the FA Cup is. I mean, to a lot of fans. I mean, I think, again, generational-wise, I think the younger generation, I think growing up now, it is all about finishing the top four, playing in the Champions League. But to you, Chris, when I say FA Cup, how important does that still rank for you in terms of your priorities going into a season?
I mean, I used to literally remember when I was always with my family, we would always get together on a Sunday to watch the FA Cup final. And didn't matter what team it was. It was just such an important, day, the FA Cup. I just feel like it sadly lost its magic. So I'm hoping later on that it will bring it back. You know, I feel like they're going to try and make it more important in relation to if you win it. I've heard that if you win it, you might be able to get into Europa League or something like that. So I don't know if they're trying to make it, that get that magic, get it all back, because just show how important it is. To me, it's English football, FA Cup, and we've always loved it. And to me, to see Tottenham win the FA Cup would be such a huge deal to me. I've said it even before. This should be our number one priority, FA Cup, 100%. There's nothing more that I would love to see us win that trophy. And it still kills me right now that we never won a cup with Harry Kane or Hugo Lloris even as well. So to me, this is what it's all about. We've got no European games. We've literally got a huge chance here for Tottenham. And of course, we've got it under Ange, which is even better, because this is a manager that everyone seems to have loved. Everyone is now loving, what he's saying about the team, how he speaks about us. It's just all open-minded. It's all about the players. It's all about the team. It's not just about him. It's not focused on him too much. You can tell he cares about his job. He's passionate, and that's exactly what we've needed for such a long time. So to me, this is just a perfect opportunity now for Tottenham to get the magic back now. I need to see a trophy. I'm going to be 32 soon. I need to see something now. It's been a long time, guys. So yeah.
You know what I love is Josh saying, don't be desperate for a trophy. And Chris is saying, I'm in my 30s. I need to see Spurs win something.
I need it.
Ross, bringing you in. I mean, you talk about you sit on the fence because, again, for many growing up, again, of my age, many would say Spurs were a cup team. And I think it's been such a shame that we have not seen Spurs, in my opinion, take some of the cups seriously enough. Again, when you think under Jose, we sacked Jose a day before or a week before a cup final. You just think Tottenham are a team that would be, again, familiarised with winning cups. I mean, where do you sit, Ross, for you in terms of the trophy debate, and how important is it for you Spurs do take this FA Cup seriously, in your opinion?
Yeah, even what Christina was saying, I feel like we haven't really taken anything really serious, with the prior managers, and I feel like with Ange, you can feel the difference in where we're going, and how well we're trying. Obviously, we came out of the Carabao Cup pretty early, but that's understandable in terms of how far we've gone so far with Ange. We're not expecting miracles to happen so early, but I'd love to see us go as far as possible and even get to the final and win it, hopefully, because it's one of those things. Like, I look at what Ange is doing now and see much of a long-term situation right now with that. And I want to see him just continue to churn out the results and continue to play good football. Because right now, I'm excited about the football, win or lose. Right now, we're playing the best football I've seen in years. And this is the sort of football we expected to see with Conte and Mourinho. But, we're sitting back deep, and now we're actually attacking every game. Even when we're down, we're seeing so much, and we're seeing much more passion from the players. So hopefully, we see us get far and we take it serious. I mean, with Ange, we can see he's taking it serious anyway. But I want to see us get as far as possible. And, like Christina was saying about, Kane and even Lloris as well, not able to win a trophy with us. It's quite sad to see that happen. But, moving forward, I'd love to see, much more progression in the cup for us.
Yeah, I mean, look, I totally agree there with, again, all you guys. And I totally understood what Johnny was saying there, that the element of the fact is that to have that desperation is not a good thing. I think at the same time, though, I've always had that feeling that, when you win that first cup, in terms of the last couple, I'd say, of the decades, that had Spurs won one cup, I would have always been fairly confident it would have led to more, especially under that Pochettino period where we had the likes of the Ericssons, the Dembeles, those star players that ultimately I just feel it's gutting that they left the club without a trophy. But look, we're going to come into all that very, very shortly. And what I do want to do is give an update of where we are, team who's going into the game, because Spurs could have up to 11 players unavailable for this FA Cup third round tie. Now, of course, this comes on the back of that win we saw against Bournemouth at the weekend. Of course, going in, obviously, to this New Year, goals from Pat Matasar, Heung-min Son. Ritchie, of course, sealed that win. It moved Spurs to a point of Arsenal in, of course, full spot. But the club were again confronted by a number of injury issues. We saw Spurs thought at one point they may lose Pat Matasar to a hamstring issue, but we understand he is reported successfully for AFCON duty. Not so good news for Alo Veliz. We understand, according to Ange Postecoglou, on the back of his press conference, that he'll be out now for what it looks like at least 6 weeks with an injury. He said that he had a scan. It will keep him out for at least that kind of period. It's a shame. I think we all were really, really sad to see those scenes, of course, at the weekend where Alo, obviously in absolute tears. And I mean, again, I shouldn't laugh, but I mean, John, what did you make of the fact, they were trying to communicate to the guy, just go down. I mean, Lo Celso was screaming at him, and was screaming at the guy to go down. And I think that's the most we've definitely seen Ange animated on touchlines, isn't it, John? I don't think we've ever seen him as animated as that, trying to tell the player just to get down there.
Yeah, I was at the game. It all happened on my side of the pitch. I'm not that high up either, so I could see it all. I still don't know how it happened, actually. Still not sure how he got the injury. I think, and it was ankle apparently, right? So I don't know was it from a tackle or what? But yeah, Ange was really angry. It was the first time I've seen him properly angry,
Yeah.
And I think we all like that because we knew it was in defence of his player, and it's a wonderful. Everything he does is smart. It's kind of good man management because the message it's very feral sort of message it gives to the players. We all stick up for each other here, and we've seen loads of situations at Tottenham over the years where Tottenham players may be getting a little bit bullied and their teammates wouldn't exactly rush over to stick up for them. There wasn't a true esprit de corps, and now there is. I feel sorry for the boy because we're all delighted to see him score the goal against Brighton, and we're hoping he could maybe do it again and he could just start to get something together. So it was very disappointing he come on as a sub and got and got done. I mean, I haven't heard that stay down, not since, you get somebody's in a boxing match and has taken too much of a bashing and they're like, no, stay down,
Don't get up.
Yeah, and he was starting to, he was being so game, but it's like, mate, you're doing more harm than good. I thought Hojbjerg, poor old Hojbjerg gets some stick, but I must say, when they had that break where you had Son on his left and Belize on his right, and you're thinking, mate, Belize, look at him, he's not on Cassidy, he's done.
He's still trying to pass to him.
You must be aware that you've seen this guy's injured, so you must have the awareness to know that you're breaking forward with the ball. He's the geezer on your right, and Son's the geezer on your left. Play it to Son, and we could have killed the game off and, maybe not had that little bit of tension we had when we, they get that disallowed goal to make it 3-2, It would have been 3-2 if it had been allowed, But yeah, it was good. It was a bit of drama. There's loads of drama with Tottenham now, as Ross was saying, when you're on the edge of your seat now, you literally can't take your eye, you don't want to send any text messages or anything. You're on the edge of your seat, you're glued to the game, especially when you're at the game, as opposed to the Conte era, where there were times towards the end of Conte era, as with Mourinho, where you can't keep your eyes on the game. You're looking at your phone. You're thinking to yourself, is it appropriate to listen to an audible book at a football match because it's that dull? Do you know what I mean? Seriously, is it?
It was bad. It did get bad. It was bad.
Yeah, it was as dull as ditch water. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was. Listen, I totally agree. I do love, John, your commentary on it. I totally agree. I mean, again, it's one of those things where you go to games now, and quite frankly, I would prefer them to be a bit more comfortable. I mean, that Everton game recently, where I just thought, John, we were safe in this game, and then at half-time, no disrespect to him, the ball goes up, Eric Dier's coming on. I'm thinking, oh my God, am I going back and running it back here in time? I've got Dier and Davis in defence for 45 minutes, 15 minutes to go. I thought I was enjoying this game. I just said to the bloke next to me, can we survive? Can we survive 20 minutes, half hour without conceding? Lo and behold, we conceded the first 5 minutes. Granted, it obviously was given as a VAR disallowed for that first 5 minutes against Everton in the second half. But being put through the ringer still at Tottenham, nothing changes, that is for sure. I mean, in terms of going back to the injury news, there were some positives for Tottenham on the injury front. Ange Postecoglou has confirmed Mickey van der Ven has returned to full training. The centre-back, of course, has been absent since suffering that hamstring injury against Chelsea in November and is nearing a full return to the side. He said Mickey van der Ven has trained. He's been involved with the 3 sessions. We're not sure about whether he'll feature against Burnley or not. Again, I think his target date is looking potentially for that Manchester United game a week from now. However, Spurs will still have to make do without the key duo of James Maddison and Christian Romero, our vice captains, and said Maddison hasn't trained with us yet. As I say, I won't know until he's back with training as to how he's getting on. Christian is still in the early stages. In terms of where we stand on the other absences long-term, still no updates on Ivan Perisic, Ryan Sessegnon, Manor Solomon and Alfie Whiteman. However, Ange Postecoglou will be able to welcome back to his squad for the Burnley game Dejan Kulusevski after, of course, he missed out that Bournemouth game through suspension. It is worth me adding as well that we have had some loanees return for Spurs in the course of these last 24, 48 hours. Tottenham are, depending how you phrase this, Spurs are welcoming back Sergio Reguilon, Jed Spence and Dane Scarlett. They'll all be reported, if not already, back to Hotspur Way. Potentially all of those 3 guys may be looking to go back out on loan again. I understand, though, from Dane Scarlett's perspective, Spurs, and according to Ange, are going to have a good look at him. So, again, I mean, you'd think with the Yellow Veliz injury that Scarlett somehow now gets promoted into becoming that guy's replacement for the time being, and which is quite ironic given the fact he couldn't really get much game time against Ipswich. So, look, we'll see how that plays out. Chris, I want to bring you in. Of course, what many are alluding to at the moment is the search for Spurs' next centre-back, which is currently in its 4th day. And obviously, for those listening on audio, it will be the 5th day of searching. Now, Spurs are trying to get a deal done for Genoa ace Radu Dragozin. I will let John shortly give you his appropriate well, his pronunciation of it, 'cause I think it's a lot better than I am. And you know what? It scares the shit out of me. I've got to say John's does rather than mine. But Chris, any concern from you? Spurs, what are we now? We're going to be, like I say, 4th day. We're 5th day tomorrow into the window. Centre-back yet to be agreed. Any concern from you that hasn't got done yet?
I mean, I think it's a good sign so far, 5th day. And, you know, well, to be honest, even just before the transfer window started, there was already these rumours about this player coming in. So it obviously they have been in the works for, you know, before this has all happened. So to me, that's a good sign with how things are working at Tottenham finally, you know. This player though, I'm gonna just say Dragon because I don't know how to pronounce his name yet. So apologies.
Dragon, that's a good one.
Dragon. So
plays that one.
hopefully he performs like that on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
But I haven't really done much research into this guy, so I can't really say much. But from the sounds of it, he sounds a bit like his name. He sounds a bit vicious, almost like another Ramiro. So you know, I'm looking forward to if that is the case. But I can't really say much on him. But for now, I'm just really happy with the fact that we are getting business done early. I've not seen that for a long time, well, ever. So I'm going to take it as a positive, and hopefully, yeah, this guy will come in early as well and get some games coming in. So because we are so desperate right now, guys, we are so desperate. But let's yeah, take it as it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if it come around to you, Rosk, I mean, from my understanding of the guy, look, he's in a similar mold to Mickey van der Ven, very rapid across a short period of space. He has got a little bit of composure about him, although I did tell John off air that he has had a couple of sendings off already in his short period in this place of the season. So it'll fit in really well in that dressing room. I mean, John has told me already, doesn't mind a bit of viciousness of a player, tells you a lot about the kind of character they are. I mean, Ross, where do you stand? We are, day 4, day 5 now into the window, still no centre-back. Are you disappointed the club haven't already brought him in?
I mean, it's not that we're not that far off from the opening of the transfer market anyway. So I think someone will come in. But to be fair, like just a shout out to Davies and Emerson. They've been really good, to be fair. I mean, they're not centre backs, but they've done their job, and they've stepped up where needed. And I think we've got to give a big up to Ange as well. He's definitely made the best of a bad situation. Looking back, I don't want to look too far back, but looking at like Conte and Mourinho, I don't think they could have even handled this situation what Ange is doing right now, and done it well as well. Without making excuses as well of what they've got, in the locker. But from what I heard that he's this Dragon guy. He's good at set pieces apparently. So I think he scored like 7 in the last season. I think I'll have to double check, but yeah, if someone can put it in the chat, that would be good. But yeah, I'm sure he's scored a few from set pieces. So yeah, let's see how good he is, and hopefully he comes through the door soon.
Fingers crossed. I mean, John, look, yeah. I think we've been on here so many times and said how important it is, John, to get early business done. Look, many people will look back at the fact that Spurs, in terms of the January windows, it's been done fairly late in the last few years. Of course, Bentancur, Kulusevski, final days, of course, of that window a couple of years ago. You look back, John, as well, Pedro Porro, that went to the last day of January's transfer window last year. How important, John, for you is it that Spurs need to get this centre-back in fairly soon, given the fact, of course, that you'd say all of Spurs' I'm putting this politely, a lot of Spurs' important games are at the very start of this month rather than the end of it, John? And I am going to have to unmute John.
We needed him in yesterday. And the way I pronounce it is Dragusin.
Look at
that. You won't get past me. I'm Dragusin. That's how I would pronounce it, But
you plays like that, John?
Yeah. I mean, I just think that's how I would go about it. But anyway, I was hoping we'd have this guy. It did have the ink dry by 1 minute past midnight on the day, the 1st of Jan, up to 1 minute after midnight. But this is Daniel Levy, isn't it? It really is. I had a guy work for me for a while, and lovely guy. Was all good, and would sometimes deal a musical equipment, and you sometimes felt that an amp that was worth say £1,000, his bid for that with people would be, I'll tell you what, I'll give you £8.67, that's my final offer. And it reminds me sometimes the way Spurs do business, Sexy Beast, Teddy Bass, at the end of Sexy Beast, when he says to Gary Duff, "Tenor all right?" So he's done this bank job where they've had to dive in a swimming pool, drill through walls, and all that. Tenor all right? So Genoa probably want 33 million euros, and he rocks up and says, "I tell you what, I'll give you 18."
Oh my God.
I don't know, but look, can slag Daniel Levy off, and I have done at times, but you are running a business, and you have to say at this point we don't have any stuff with the fair play kind of palaver, that financial fair play that other clubs do. As far as I'm aware, we've got a hell of a lot of headroom with that. So I do think he's obviously a very good negotiator. This is how you do business, and it's very easy for us to get impatient and say, "You should have had it done yesterday. You should just go and just give them what they bloody want." Well, you don't get that in other businesses. If we were all negotiating a pipeline, through the Caucasus in Russia, and you're negotiating for this pipeline with 10 different countries, I'll just get it done, will you, Ricky? Come on, I want to go home. Let's get it finished.
We have said this the last 20 years under this ball. Just get it done, haven't we? We have all said that.
But please God, it will at the next couple of days. It would have been really nice to have had Dragusin in the squad for the game against Burnley. Would have been superb, But you know what? As Ross said, Emerson. No one talked about Emerson after the Bournemouth game. Davis is starting to get some plaudits now for the job he's done as a centre half. But Emerson's been immense, I think. Those two have really done a job. I'm afraid for this Burnley game, we've still got a lot of injuries. I'd be very surprised if he starts with Mickey van der Ven. In fact, I would suspect Mickey van der Ven probably won't even be on the bench, but maybe he will be on the bench. I'd be very surprised if he starts with him, but you never know. And we're going to have to make do. I'm intrigued, by the way, does anybody know if Spence was recalled by Tottenham? On Sky just now, it's saying Tottenham recalled him. On social media, it was saying Leeds sent him back.
Yeah, my understanding is that, well, from what I've heard, is that Leeds are the ones that accordingly decided they didn't want the player, and therefore they are the ones that sent the player back to Tottenham. And I don't want to make it, obviously, again, on here, a big trivial things. Again, we don't know what happens in terms of the background of players, in terms of what's going on. But from my understanding, it hasn't been the most fortuitous loan for Jed. I don't think he's performed anywhere near the level what he maybe has been capable of doing. Look, there may be reasons before that behind the scenes. I think, again, look, it's a real shame with Jed, I think, John, because when you look at the fact that he came with such a big reputation and potential, being arguably one of the finest or youngest prodigies coming up in terms of his level and his age. And the fact that, again, and I know many had different views on Conte not selecting him and not playing him, when you consider how did we not play Pat Matassar, when you look at just how good he's been, which has earned himself a new contract. But I think that there's a reason behind why Jed hasn't been getting game time at both Leeds and Spurs. There's a reason behind that. So I would imagine Tottenham will be working hard to try and get him another loan. And I think, again, you have to hope with the players, the likes of, and no disrespect, the likes of Ndombele's, the likes of Spence's, that the penny drops that, to be a professional footballer, it's an absolute wonderful gift. And football is a career where it is so short. And you just hope that these guys do realise that and ultimately, at some point, take advantage of their talent, because there's no doubt about it. Just talent has been there for Spence. That's what led Tottenham, of course, to signing him. So I'll be staggered and amazed if he does in any way at all have a Spurs career, as we saw in the summer. And look at him, decided he wasn't good enough, sent him out on loan. But the fact Leeds have sent him back to us, I think, again, it makes it very doubtful who'll have much of a period at Tottenham now. I'm sure Spurs will be working hard to get him a loan. Just on that point, we also know that Sergio Reguilon has returned, as I said earlier. Spurs as well, along with Reguilon, will be working to get him another loan. I don't think there's any massive surprise there. I think United and maybe Reguilon saw that as more of a short-term deal. He came in for cover at the time, and that's obviously what's led to him becoming obviously back into the Spurs gallery as such. And Dane Scarlett's an interesting one, as I said earlier. We understand that he'll now be really integrated back into the squad. And it is really bizarre when you think about it, Chris, that Scarlett's now gone from sitting on Ipswich's bench to potentially maybe playing a role in Spurs' season now because of that injury to Hello Valiz that sees him out now for, we understand, 6 weeks. Scarlett finds himself in a unique situation where he may very well get game time. And what we understand from Ange and the presser said, look, it's up to Dane to show to me that he's worthy of playing. I mean, how interesting is that, given just how football changes like that in the blink of an eye?
I mean, he's got a moment here. He can show something if he's got it. And the thing is, I think we have a lot of trust and faith with, Ange at the moment, because we've seen players that we thought there was no hope for them, but he's made some players shine already. It's only been 4 months, whatever, he's already shown us that he can improve players, and he obviously sees potential in all of them individually. So I'm hoping maybe this is a good chance for Dane. He's a young player. I'll be interested to see what he can do, and if Ange helps him out, it'll be interesting. Another one with Reguilon as well. I actually think he would actually do really well under Ange again. I think he was probably Man United's one of their best players. He was doing really good at United, and I personally was getting a bit frustrated with him just before he did go on loan with United. I thought I was just getting really frustrated, but he's improved a lot with United. So I'm intrigued to see if he would what he would do under Ange. I don't know. It's just all about having the trust with your manager, isn't it? But I just feel like with Ange, he's really brought out some of these players that we honestly didn't. I thought there was not much hope. I mean, look at Ben Davies now. Yeah. Everyone was putting him down. He's been phenomenal these past games. With tomorrow's game, I would 100% put him on the first line, 100%. So even again, like Emerson Royale, I feel like he deserves a shout out for the past games. He's been really good, and I see a lot of improvement with all of our players at the moment. So I don't want to be putting players down. I know we say about Eric Dier, whatever, but it's the spirit of Ange at the moment. He's just got that magic touch, obviously. And to me, I just see a lot of improvement with these players. And I just hope that continues. And hopefully as well, that will show to players that want to come to Tottenham, this is what he can do. So with Dane Scarlett, he's got his moment. And so he needs to take it for sure. Yeah. So, see if he does get time. Who knows? But yeah.
It's an important point you make there, Chris, because again, I mean, Ross, coming over to you, it's a big thing for Ange to say to a player, you've got a chance to impress me now. And I think, one thing we've seen with Ange is, as Chris has picked up on there, that he's not afraid of giving players a chance. And I think, again, Pat Matassar, for me, is the shining light of that, because this is a guy that I'm not sure what Conte did to him in the second half of last season. We just didn't see the guy, which is a real shame. And you just see the way Pap has really adapted to the way, obviously, Ange wants to play. And I think, again, you look at players that we're going to really miss, obviously, of course, of the AFCON. Look, we're going to miss Basuma, of course. But Pat Matassar, I think he's been, for me, one of the stars of the season, one of the breakthrough players. And you look at players that ultimately have performed so well under Ange. Does that give you the confidence, Ross, that at the moment, Ange seems to know really, really well what gets the most and best out of players? And ultimately, if they're going to be playing for the club, it's because Ange has the trust in them that they are going to perform.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like Ange is really confident in, and he's got belief in his system and how he plays and what he wants out of each player. And, I think I was watching an interview with Maddison, and he, and the way that, he approached Maddison to come to join Tottenham. And it was like, you either join us or you watch how we play. And, that's a prime example of what he wants. He's, I'm sure these guys, have all been watching how Spurs have been playing over the last few months. And they're going to want in. I'm sure they're going to want in and see how, see the system. And obviously, this is night and day from Mourinho and Conte to what Ange is doing right now. So this is refreshing for a lot of these players. It's not just like a quick bounce back. When you get a new manager, everybody's looking to impress over the next few days. But this is an ongoing thing, and I'm guaranteed, like Scarlett, he's going to jump to the occasion. Hopefully, he does well.
We keep our fingers crossed. John, one man that it appears is heading out the door, whether, John, it's this window or in the summer, it looks like Eric Dier. And was asked about the possibility of keeping Eric Dier. He said in relation to if he'd like to keep him, he said, look, it's not on my radar. He said, I think Eric is contracted to this football club and is as much in control of his own destiny as anyone else's. I mean, do you have a vibe on that, John? What you feel might happen there? Do you think Dier may hold off into the summer to get a move, or potentially do you think he may go in this window if a decent offer comes up, which ultimately is too good for him to turn down?
I would have thought, he's free to go. So if it suits him and his agent and all that to go now, then he'll go. It may even be West Ham. Apparently, West Ham are interested. I could see it. Eric Dier is not the worst player I've ever seen.
Yep.
By a long shot. He's obviously, there's times when he's been in part of a three, he's looked not too bad, but he's not really right for playing Ange ball. I think that friendly against Barcelona done for him. Do you remember? At the start of this season,
Yeah, good
where
point.
you saw Dier like a yard behind. I've seen him make a lot of mistakes for Tottenham over the years. But he made a terrible mistake. Remember away to United a few years ago, and we lost 1-0. And there's a few. So
I don't mean to be rude on him, John. There's been so many that
that's
it's
right.
hard to remember. And I just think, you know what? Now I think, and there's no disrespect to him. I just think under this manager, it's just so unsuited to his style, John. There's no disrespect. I mean, again, maybe under David Moyes, that might be exactly what he needs, John, potentially.
Well, I think that's right. I think that's West Ham. I would have thought would be an absolutely fantastic move for him. I think Moyes would really like him. It's a lot of these traditional old sort of football managers, and Conte and Mourinho are a bit like that. They all really like him. So he's got something about him, and he looks like he's got something about him. Technically, he's not the worst player, in the league. He just makes too many mistakes for me. And one of the things about being elite is like an elite snooker player or dancer, that you do your particular 12s as a dancer and you get it right every bloody time. Every snooker player under pressure, you hit the shots every time. And it's not, that's one of the things that defines a top level elite player. And I just don't think Dier is. He wouldn't get into any of the top sort of six sides. So someone like West Ham, we're really on the rise now under Moyes. They're very solid. They've probably got another trophy in them somewhere. It's possible, and it'd be a great signing for him. So he's gone. There can't be any doubt about that. Lloris has gone. We knew he was the other one. I like what Chrissy was said about Reguilon, because he's a player who he's technically not bad at all. His defending wasn't bad. Wasn't very good at all. And he was having a trouble crossing the ball. And it was a bit, look at Porro, defensively looked all over the shop like he'd never learned. But he really applied himself, and Ange worked on him. And now defensively, Porro looks pretty good, as does Udogie. But Porro really improved. And seeing as we've been missing Perisic now, we're missing a left-sided player. I did wonder with Reguilon, there's an outside chance that he could come back. And Spence the same. Spence is technically pretty good. I've seen a couple of the performances for Leeds, and he wasn't terrible, to be fair. Plus they've been playing him at left back. So he wasn't terrible. And yet again, outside chance that Ange could do something with him. But I think we're probably this Burnley game, I'd be surprised if Dier's on the bench even, but he could well be. I suppose he was there. He did come on, didn't he, against Bournemouth? I thought Ange's substitutions cost us that goal, because I think that when he made all those subs, and you could see why he made them, but it's I think it kind of caused the defence to look sound as a pound up to there, and suddenly we just looked a little bit all over the shop with Dier on the pitch, of course. God bless him. So I think I'm not expecting there to be any big surprises against Burnley. You never know. He might. Scarlett might see some game time. So I think what has he got to lose with Scarlett? He was, Scarlett was so highly rated, wasn't he, by Mourinho?
Oh, absolutely, he was.
By others. But we've seen this before with strikers. They're highly rated, and then you have that period when they go out on loan and they really find out what men's football's all about, And Harry Kane, I think, didn't he? I think that was it Norwich, the last loan spell he had. Don't
Yeah,
think
about
he
6
scored.
or 7. No, exactly. Yeah, it's
You know,
mad, isn't it?
sometimes as a striker, it just doesn't happen for you. There's all kinds of dynamics. The teammates don't really trust you. They think you're just some flash kid on loan from a big club academy or something. They're probably not going to trust you with the kind of balls in that they would their other teammates. So it'd be interesting. We've got nothing to lose now. I'm glad Kulusevski will be back because
Yep.
we're going to really need him now. Son's gone. And I'm not too concerned about Son going actually, because I think what these injuries, they've been terrible as we know, but there is an upside which is really meant that there's an ethos developing the club of a team spirit which has been sorely lacking at Tottenham for many years. So where you have a real faith in the philosophy, the gaffer and the collective. It's all about the collective.
Yeah.
If you're in an army platoon, it's no good. Well, I can depend on Mick, Jeff, and Harry, but not on Paul, Dave, and Andrew.
And Eric.
Yeah, and Eric. I tried not to say it, but you made me say it. And
Sorry,
Eric,
John.
no worries.
I feel bad now.
Eric,
Sorry, Eric.
and it's not. You want to depend on the whole platoon. You need
Of
to
course.
depend on all of everybody. And I think
Yeah.
you're starting to get that. And there's a real ethos. And
Yeah.
there's one thing that really upset me with Tottenham over the years. We were not a meritocracy. They were always favourites with the fans, favourite with the manager. So some players would get coated off. We had that guy who got sub Ghali, was it the Egyptian geezer?
God bless
And
him.
people forget that geezer had picked his teeth up off the floor at half time away to Portsmouth. He'd gone out to find his teeth that had been kicked out. How many people? I've got mates who have had their teeth kicked out at Stoke, going to watch Tottenham. Fair enough. But not many people have had their teeth knocked out on behalf of Tottenham. And there was everyone booing him. It's because he was just upset at getting pulled off, And he'd actually put a shift in the past. And we all know, I remember Terry Venables got booed, even. So there's always been favourites at Tottenham. I've never felt it was a meritocracy down there, and now it feels like it's getting that way. And that's very healthy.
Joe, I got off. We're in 2024 January, and Hossam Ghali's got a mention on a Spurs podcast. A fan member just nudged him and said, "Have you seen this? Can you believe it? You're on your last one on Spurs. Love it." John's keeping him alive. John is keeping that flame burning. You mentioned Kulusevski there, John. I will just add, we've had some news come through to us for the second year in a row. Dejan Kulusevski is awarded Sweden's Gold Bollen, the golden ball given to the best male Swedish footballer each year. Decky wins that second year in a row. Massive congrats to him. Roska, I do want to ask you quickly about Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, another player that potentially may leave the football club this window, depending, of course, whether Spurs do bring in another midfielder in terms of a replacement. Where do you stand, Ross, for you on Hojbjerg? Would that be a player that you wouldn't be too adverse to leaving if Spurs could replace this window?
I think it's time for him to kind of make his way. I think he's done well for us, but I feel like it's one of those things. I feel like that we've gone through periods where we hold on to players quite long. We're only down to like Sonny since the Champions League final now. So it's like, for me, I don't know. I feel like we still need refreshing. Also, the way he plays, I don't think it fully fits Ange's system as well. So I'm not too fussed. I mean, when he comes on for like the last 20 minutes or so to kind of clean up, I feel like he's good for that. But he's going to want more game time anyway to play. So he's not going to want to be like just to come on for those last few minutes. So I feel like it is time to kind of refresh that and get someone else that can match Bentancur, Sarr in the middle.
Yeah, Joe, I think you made a really good point there. I think the thing with Hojbjerg is that I think he's so used to playing regular first team football that suddenly when you are taking him out of that environment where he's playing 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, I think it's hard, Chris, isn't it? For me, I think he has given his everything. I know many will feel maybe the everything isn't enough. Do you just feel for Hojbjerg, maybe as we said there, mutually for both parties, that if Spurs can get in a reasonable replacement? I know, like Conor Gallagher a lot. I just personally don't see that happening this window. I just don't see Spurs being able to sign a player of that caliber this window, and Chelsea selling, arguably what is now Pochettino's captain going into potentially a cup final. Where do you stand, Chris, and Hojbjerg for you? Would you be open to letting him go? Of course, if Spurs could find some form of replacement.
I find this really difficult talking about Hojbjerg because he has some really good games and then he has some really terrible games. He's just not consistent and it's just not good enough. But I have moments like where I see him and I'm like, oh, what am I talking about? He's great. So he has got something there, but it's not all the time, and that's what's frustrating. And
Yeah,
we
spot on.
need that now. We need it now. We can't rely on these players where they just making all these mistakes. It's the same with Dier,
Yeah.
and I don't know if he just needs something new, something different. Same with Dier. It's just sometimes when you're at a club for with Dier, you've been at a club for so long. I guess sometimes it sort of wears away. Like
spot on.
when you've been with them for so long, you just need to you need to change it up in your life.
Fresh challenge.
Yeah, and that's why I don't want to be too, I don't want to say too many negative comments on Dier, because at the end of the day, he's been with us for so long now. He's been wearing our badge for a very long time. I know that's probably not a good thing for most people to hear, but he's it's commitment, to the club. But it's we've got to think about these as humans sometimes, and that's what it is. We do need something, a new, they need something fresh and new.
Yeah.
And I think with Hojbjerg, I think maybe I am on the edge. If there is something that we can, if we are able to take a player, in his position, then I would personally, he can go, to a new club to find something else. But it is difficult because I do want to say he has had some really good games with us, and
Absolutely.
I think we should appreciate those moments that he has done for us.
Yeah.
So I hate being negative on players, but if there is, I'll do it for the sake of him. Maybe if there is, another opportunity, then yes, I would say for it to go. Yeah.
Bless you, Chris. I know you are one that's uncomfortable to discuss players because I know, again, it's one of those situations where, coming over to you, John, I know you're not too adverse, John. If we need to put a 2-footer in, I know, John, you won't mind putting a 2-footer in. We need to on this show. I know you won't hold back if we need to. I mean, where do you stand on Pierre for you? It's one of those where I agree with Chris. I think he's had some fairly decent games this season, but what I do feel is that I think the lack of game time, along with the fact that I just don't feel he's an Ange Postecoglou player, is a bit of a problem. Going into the second half of the season where, as we know, the games are going to become bigger. Fingers crossed, got an FA Cup we're going to come to in a second. You want every single player that you can ultimately rely upon, you can depend upon. I'm just not sure if Pierre will be that player when you consider the fact that ultimately he's just not suited to an Ange Postecoglou style. Am I fair in saying that, John?
Yeah. Well, I don't think he is. I think Hojbjerg. I always forget how to say his name. I call him Hojbjerg. I think that he's a very good player. He's a really good experience. He's got a good football brain. So why wouldn't he? If that's the case, why wouldn't he be suitable for Ange? I think he's just not quite good enough in those tight areas. So I'm going to say something here. It is exactly what I mean. Harry Winks left, and it was good that he left. And I got really fed up with Harry Winks because there was he just was all at sea in a few games for us. But Harry Winks would suit this system better than Hojbjerg at times because he can play his way out of tight situations. Yeah, very tight situations. Hojbjerg kind of lacks that ability at times in those very tight situations. Hojbjerg wouldn't get into Liverpool's team, I don't think, because he can't play his way out of tight situation as well as others. He's the odd loose pass and all that. I mean, so many players are guilty.
Can't we keep him around, John, just for your pronunciation of him? Can't we just keep him on the bench just so I can bring you on to do the pronunciation of the bloke's name? I think Hojbjerg is brilliant.
Hojbjerg, I call him Hojbjerg next to Iceberg. But
there's been a few holes he has played this season.
And his recovery runs, like he's not going to be as good. He's not quite. Ange, it's very demanding. You've got to be quite athletic, and you've got to play your way out of tight situations. I tell you who I think suits Ange ball, Gil. I was very, but of course I've been, public enemy number one for saying that Brian Gill is a decent player. Because you get people, he's dog shit, what they're like, people, they're, so unforgiving on players. And none of these players can be, you don't get to be at Tottenham unless you're rubbish. I've only seen one guy, I thought wasn't a footballer, was that Gilberto geezer years ago. Do you
Oh,
remember?
the one that
He come on. He come on. I think we were losing in the European game. It's this Brazilian geezer. This would be fantastic. And it was like,
great.
Fucking hell, he can't kick a fucking ball. What's going on? Mental. But generally, in this era, you don't get to be, in a Premier League club if you're dog shit. You're going to be a good player. And what I like with Gil was that ability to play in very tight areas against Villa, especially in the first half, play his way out, them little triangles, play his way out of trouble. They're very, very quick. I think Hojbjerg would be a terrific player for West Ham alongside Ward-Prowse. I tell you where Hojbjerg, even with a possession game, I tell you who probably would rate him on the QT would be Guardiola. You could play him. You could probably play him as a holding back at City because you've got such great players around you. Do you know what I mean?
You can also have a duff one there, can't you? And you've got
I don't think he's duff. When he comes on, as Russell said, I kind of often feel great. Hojbjerg's coming on. I don't feel upset. Hojbjerg's coming on. I feel happy he's coming on because he's generally a canny player. Then again, I think he did give it away, didn't he? Who was we hammering? Newcastle, and I think he gave it away. So. Yeah. So we know anyway. It's all academic. We know the geezer's going to be gone, right? If not this January, he'd be gone at the end of the season, and we know that.
I've got to say, John, there's comments here saying, can we make sure John is not the sporting director of Tottenham, just in case we end up getting the wrong player when we make the phone call and Hojbjerg does join?
Oh, yeah. Who is Hojbjerg? Is there a player called Hojbjerg? I don't know who is.
We'll sell Hojbjerg and get Hojbjerg in. That'll be our.
Well, I was called him Regular and Regulian until somebody said it is regular. It's, oh, right. Okay. I was called him Regulian. So yeah, I'm a Cockney. We know what we like, for pronunciations. We're bloody terrible,
That's why, John. You're bollocking him at the games. That's why I never turned around and recognised you.
Oh, on text, I call PEH. They call me, Pierre Emil Holbert. So I call him PH. That's easy. You're not making a fool of yourself when you call him PH. Yeah.
I've got to say, listen, I'm trying to compose myself here. For those that listen back to this on the audio, you guys will know we get influx of comments in the chat when we do this show. I've got to say, there's been some absolute amazing comments that have come through. Poor Chris has been trying to compose herself for the last 5 minutes every time another analogy of Hojbjerg comes through, and we get all sorts of Kipling and cake analogies of Hojbjerg. I think I've got to say, John, for the sake of all of us here, that when I next bring you on, they better have sold Hojbjerg by then, because I'm not sure I can carry on doing this. What we are
let's just call him Pierre. Anyway, why has a Danish geezer got a French Christian name? What's all that about? No. Carry on. I'm
What we are going to do, for the sake of our lives, we are going to go for our.
Does he think he's French or something? What's going on? No. Right, carry on. Right.
God, I tell you what, I did tell you, don't know what to expect when Jah Wobble's on Last Word on Spurs. Everyone's mascara's running. What we are going to do, we are going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners on audio. How can I compose myself? Take you into that break you're going to hear from the guys over at the Turf Cast for the Burnley preview ahead of Tottenham in the FA Cup. God, we've got to try and stay sane here. We are on the award-winning Last Word on Spurs. We're joined by Musician Jah Wobble. We're joined by Christina Zandes, trying to keep herself composed, and the brilliant Roska. I've got to say, Roska's the only one out of the four of us that has kept a promo face during that. You can tell that man is a remixer, a producer, a musician, all in one. That man is keeping us sane here on Last Word on Spurs. Look, big game for Tottenham. FA Cup, of course, to come Friday night. Huge game for Tottenham in the course of their season. For me, as you guys know, it's one of the most important games of the season. And was asked, where does the FA Cup rank for him? He said, look, priority-wise, with every other game I've been in charge for, they're all important. There's not one that you put full focus in and not others. I've got many memories of the FA Cup. It's a significant event on the global scale. The FA Cup final pretty much reaches every corner of the globe, and for everyone's had some sort of experience in it. Great competition, great tradition. We are looking forward to having a crack at it. I felt like I was in the Jah Wobble line there, having a crack at it. Get it? But look, it is really important to Tottenham, and I think the fact of the matter is that Ange has been very much complimentary about how important this competition is for Spurs, which ultimately for Burnley, you may argue, given where their season is, it might just be a case of focusing wholly in terms of staying up, and there may be less of an importance on the FA Cup. He was asked to Ange, what is the priority in terms of winning silverware or the top four. He said, look, I know what I feel about what I like in terms of every competition. I want to win every competition I go in for. I don't really rank or diminish one against the other. To win any trophy, you have to earn it, whether that's domestic or continental. Everything is earned hard. And I think the important thing that John actually brought up towards the start of this show is that Andrew was asked if he was aware of the lengthy run without a trophy for Spurs, and does that impact the club? He said, look, I've said before, there can't be a desperation to win a trophy because it cures all ills, but it doesn't. As soon as you win one, what do you think the fans are going to say? It's okay. You don't have to win another one for 15, 16 years. No, they want more than that. It is about trying to put a plan in place for Spurs to be successful long term. And look, whilst I agree with Ange 100%, I just think I've said it before. I've said it before so many times on this show, John, and I'm not sure where I want to go by coming back round to you here to open up where this is going to go next. But I think it is a time, John, where I do want to see Spurs really, really focus on winning a trophy, because there's been so many near misses that ultimately we've got to semi-finals, haven't got over the line. Do you feel, John, if Spurs were to win the FA Cup, that would just give everybody a sense of confidence that this team, a young team that is growing, that ultimately saw the similar under Pochettino, one trophy can lead to more? Or do you feel that there would be a desperation? It has to be another one. There has to be another one after this.
No, hey, we'd all love a day out at Wembley, obviously, for sure. But, you look at you can't get away from the fact that the success of the Premier League. Every Premier League game's a cup tie anyway. They're all bloody cup ties in a way. So we'd be desperately disappointed if we put in a substandard performance against Burnley. Of course, we want to win it, but I still maintain that you build for the long term. You build a side that's designed to win lots of games, and you're under pressure as well. And then the FA Cup will take care of itself, And so you go out and you take every game as it comes. So I hope he takes it very, very seriously, and I think he will, because I think the fact they've only got 2 more games. By the way, the refs running to do VAR at Palace Everton, but never mind. But I think it's a decision. I think, look, Everton are really putting the pressure in. Oh, it might even be a red. Yeah, I think he's looking at see if it's a red. Anyway, you don't need to know about that. But you just take every game as it comes. Hopefully, he'll put a shift in. It won't be easy against Burnley, I bet you, because I think Company just think he's got nothing to lose either. There's very few league games. I think most clubs have only got 2 games for the rest of the month. I think he'll go for it. It won't be easy. He never is at Tottenham. We think we'll be feet up, 4-0 up on the 85th minute. It'll be 2-1 or something, and we'll be getting battered, and there'll be another couple of players have gone off bloody injured. That's Tottenham at the moment, isn't it? It'll be a battle. As Conte used to say, and we have to suffer. We always have to bloody suffer. You can never leave Tottenham early, can you? When you've got to get somewhere quick. And you think, if we're 3 up, I'll go at least at the beginning of added time, and I can run up the high road and make sure I get in the tube quick or whatever. It's always just one go ahead, isn't it? Yeah.
You never get the chance. I don't know if it's just. I know a lot of fans say that, and I don't ever advocate leaving the ground early, because I'm one that would always, if you've got time, you can stay around. I mean, look what you see these days with James Black, of course, after games, Timmy Winston after games. There's a reason why you want to stay around. But like John said there, if you want to get away early, you haven't got the bloody chance to with Tottenham. They don't allow you to. There's always
it's too nervy. It's too nervy. But anyway, look. Of course, if we won the FA Cup, it's money. It's something in the bank for Ange. So I'm sure we'd all rather finish 5th and win the cup than finish 3rd or 2nd and not win the cup, right?
Absolutely, yeah, totally.
And if you really gave me a choice, will you accept 6 and the FA Cup? You'd be fucking right. I'll snatch your hand off. Yeah, because you're 6, you're in Europe. Yeah. And you're in the FA Cup, and we used to love an away day at Wembley. Yeah, I think he's Llewellyn, the number 9 for Everton's got the. I thought it looked a bit harsh. He's got number 9. I thought he won the ball. Anyway, he's off down to 10 men just when they were pushing to win the game. Anyway,
yeah. We need to know that part. We have to know that part. John, you're an absolute star. We're going to come around here in a second for predictions. God, I'll tell you what, I could just do John Wobble for an hour. Forget the Tottenham game. Let's go around to John Wobble's house for an hour. Ross, let's come over to you. Look, I think, again, we've said beforehand the importance of the FA Cup. Vincent Kompany actually was asked his opinion in terms of what kind of side we'll see from his perspective. He said, look, it was the best possible draw in terms of drawing Spurs. It's better to have these type of games early for us. If we win the game, we can hope for a positive draw and a cup run. If you lose, you can get on with the league. For where we are now, this is better. These moments are the moments you want in a cup game. It's only when you go through these rounds, you know if you have a cup run in you. For us, it's better early. If we win this, I'd be very disappointed if any other team knocks us out. So I think that tells you how highly regarded he does rate Spurs and ultimately where this does leave in the draw. Thoughts for you, Rosk, in terms of what kind of Burnley team you're expect going into this one?
I don't think it's going to be a strong one. Like I think John was saying he was saying earlier about how far they are in the league. Anyway, I feel they'll be focusing more on the Premier League than the cups. I don't think they're going to overstretch themselves. But I personally think we'll do pretty well, to be fair, in this game. I feel like we've got all the attributes to get through this one anyway. And I don't see them doing anything magic in this game, to be fair. They might even play it safe, to be fair, or be heavy on defence.
It'll be interesting. I think they will make a number of changes. I mean, having said that, again, this FA Cup weekend comes on a point where there is, of course, time where teams haven't got games since essentially upcoming for the week after. So I wonder whether that would allow some of these sides to maybe put out a more of a strengthened team. But I think, look, Burnley's emphasis, of course, will be staying up. And ultimately for them, I would feel that whilst the FA Cup still holds some point of a important regard, I think out the two sides that I would imagine Burnley are going to make a number of changes. I think the key will be is just how many changes Spurs do make. Chris, coming over to you, because he was asked the question, does he regret that Carabao Cup selection? And ultimately, Ange made the point. He said, what do you think, mate? Again, he made 9 changes on the night. We did go out to a Premier League side, of course, away from home. It wasn't penalties in Fulham. I mean, Fulham have shown that they can be a good side on their day, as obviously they showed last week against Arsenal. Do you think in any way possible, Chris, for you, that will have any influence? Because I think when you look at this season as a whole, for me, the only real disappointment I have was the team selection in that Carabao Cup game. I just think making 9 changes was a huge amount of changes to make when you consider that a lot of those players, with no disrespect, were on the fringe of the side. The likes of the Diers, the likes of the Hojbjergs. I think this game, of course, there'll be natural changes because Spurs have got players out because of the AFCON and, of course, Sonny going away with the Korean, obviously, contingent for the Asian Cup. Do you think he'll be as, I'd say, dramatic in terms of the changes, or do you think you'll see more of a Premier League side for this one, Chris?
I'm hoping from, that Carabao Cup game, I hope Ange learned his lesson from that, because it was terrible. Like, it just ended up being a disaster. It's just such a shame, that we're out of it now, because I feel like we could definitely have had a good chance now, especially with all the teams that are left in it. It annoys me, frustrates me. So to me, I want us to go in strong. I don't care. I don't want to take the risk, I just want us to go full in, because to me, I want us to be heading for this FA Cup. To me, I said it again, and I'll say it now, it is a priority for us 100% to be, getting this FA Cup. We should be, achieving this 100%. So do you know what? If Mickey even was to come back, I'd put him first. I honestly would. I don't care. I would just put our strongest out there. I really would. I don't want to risk it. I don't care. I don't care. I want this cup so bad.
Yeah.
I'm to be honest as well, like, guys, I'm just so fed up with the whole comments on, Tottenham without a trophy now. Like, oh, where's the dust in the cupboard? I'm done with all of them comments. I'm just so through with it. I just need to see it. we need to make it happen. And, I said it obviously before. It's so frustrating that we never, ever got to see one of the best English player, Harry Kane didn't even win a trophy with us. It's just, it's dreadful. And Hugo Lloris as well, a World Cup winner right there. It's just, to me, it's just so sad that we never achieved that. We never. So I just think Ange should learn his lesson from that and don't take any risk and just go for all the strengths. The good thing is now, we're coming together. This team, we're bonding a lot more. Richarlison now, he's coming back now. He's awakening finally. I'm hoping he will start to score more goals, especially now Sonny's not there. Kulu's back. That's fantastic, which is really good to hear. Great to hear about him being, what is it, Swedish player, whatever. This is all good. So I just think don't take no risks. Just go for it, because this is something I feel is going to be so important to this club. It is really going to boost us. It's just a great opportunity as well. No European games, so we've got all the injuries. Hopefully, all of those are now out the way now, and everyone's going to start coming back alive. So let's just go for it. And I just feel going strong.
Fingers crossed. Chris, I agree with you. I think, again, for me, I would not be against the idea of going for a pretty much full strength side. And then, as I think we've said it on the show already, just bring some of the players off that need to come off. Then give you the Dorrington an opportunity. Give you the Scarlett an opportunity. Get the game won first. I know I joked with John there and said, look, Spurs are never have an opportunity when they're 3 or 4 up in a game. If they are in that position, start giving these players an opportunity. But I will, again, at the same time, acknowledge the fact that with that Fulham game, that Andrew had been weeks in the job. And also, you don't get many opportunities to see what other players can do. He felt he could do that against Fulham in the Cup. Look, again, we'll see if he's learned his lesson. We'll see the kind of lineup we'll see, of course, ahead of that game this evening. Chris, let's kick off with you. Let's get a prediction. What are you going to go for, Chris? Spurs versus Burnley. What are we going for?
I always feel really cursed when I do this, because I go really high and then we lose. It's that Chelsea preview. I'm so cursed by that.
You all got carried away on that show. I mean, you all got bloody carried away. If John was on that show, John would never have allowed some of the predictions that happened on that Chelsea show, John. Honestly, John, 4-1, John, 4-1s and 5-1s Chelsea. And what are wrong with these people? What's wrong with these panels? I've got to unmute John. This another half hour. I've got to mute John now.
We're doomed. Yeah, I knew we were doomed before that Chelsea game. But I'll back us to go. I've got to say, with Ange, the problem with it really upset me when we choked in the Champions League final. We know we choked loads of semis and finals with Poch. The problem with Tottenham is the mentality. Obviously, what else could it be? It's not to do with the water or a gypsy curse or something. It's the mentality. What Ange is doing is working on the mentality, very cleverly working on the mentality. You take care of the mentality, the cups, I guarantee you, will take care of themselves. Yeah.
Oh, man. Spot on. Listen,
yeah.
That's why you got to listen to what the man says.
And the thing, by the way, I want to see us win the league in my lifetime. I was 2 years of age when we won the league. I want to see us win the league. That's what I want to see. And the Champions League. I want to see Tottenham as the greatest team in the world, unquestionably. Seriously. That's really what I want.
It's not much to ask.
No, but it's good that he set. It's good that he set his expectations pretty low.
It's not easy to win anything. I saw a list of clubs today that have never won. Crystal Palace never won a major title of any kind. Fulham never won a major title. Brighton never won a major title of any kind. You got teams like Sunderland who haven't won a major title. I think in the 70s, didn't they? Won the FA Cup. It was a great game, 1-0. I don't think they'd won anything before that for years. Like back to the 20s or the old days of the Roker Raw or whatever, So it's not easy to win stuff with football, elite level. Football's so competitive. So it's not easy. So to be fair, Poch got us up to that stage where we become like Ipswich were in the 70s, always in that top group of clubs, but never actually winning a league at that point. I think the last time we'd won it was in the 50s. I think the year after us, a double team in the 60s. But I remember Ipswich used to come year in, year out. They were fantastic. Bobby Robson managed them at the time. They were excellent. And so that's just all the stages, and there's little blips. But Tottenham generally, in the last 20 years, are on the up, obviously. It's all taking far too long. None of us have got any patience, me included. But you take care of the mentality, the cups and everything else will take care of itself, because you build up a karma. You end up with a forward motion.
Fingers crossed. You know what I love is I've come over to John and said, I'm begging for an FA Cup. John's sitting there telling me he wants the Champions League. He wants the league.
I want it all. Yeah.
I'm not asking for much. John's asking for the world.
And in style, the Tottenham way,
right,
playing all in white. And no more, by the way, none of us have talked. The real curse is this cappuccino coloured kit we're playing in. It's a kind of colour that I decided to do the conservatory in the house in Fulham in a sort of cappuccino colour, because it's muted. Why do you want a muted fucking colour for your football kit? You want you want to be clearly seen with 50 fucking yards away, don't you? In the fog. So get get a very dark, get a very solid kind of colour, a solid navy blue or something to be fine,
John,
Yeah.
I know for certain, I know the Spurs official kit manufacturers watch this show, and that feedback's gone directly to them, and I'm sure they'll get on that case for what are we now, 2024, 2025, no pressure on that. Chris, we've got to ask you to compose yourself and get a prediction from you now. I bet you feel better after that, Chris. What are you going to go for?
Oh my God, John, you're literally a legend. Sorry, I didn't think I'd ever cry from laughing so much on the live stream, but it's brilliant. Right, what are we talking about? Prediction, right? So I'm gonna go for a light-hearted 2-0 to Tottenham. We should beat them. Let's be real. We should beat them. This is Burnley. They're not playing the greatest, I guess, but yeah. I'm just going to say, do a light 2-0. That's what I'm going to go for.
Chris, your backers for tomorrow. God, it's been fun and games. How can that top after tonight? Well, I know many people say that. When they've seen John live, nothing can top it, and that's why you know for certain. Ross, we're going to come over to you, mate. Love to have you back on last word on Spurs. Ross, give us a prediction and anything we want to obviously mention for you in your diary, anything coming up you want to let us know about from your end?
The prediction, I'm tied between either 4-0 or 3-1. I don't know. I think we're going to do well, to be fair. I've got a good feeling about this one. But yeah, maybe a Richarlison brace, maybe. But yeah, let's go 4-0. 4-0. But yeah, nothing to promote at the moment. I had an album out in end of November called Late Nights, Early Flights. So I do tours here and there. So I was in Asia for 3 weeks in October last year. So I put out like an album around that. So yeah, go and check that out if you can.
Ross, thank you so much, mate. We've got to get you back on now and end the manager curse. Got to get it back on.
Oh yes, 100%.
We'll make that happen very, very soon. I mean, in between, I don't know age, Johnny, in between himself and Cracks, I've seen I've had that 150 year last one on Spurs, so no pressure there at all. John, before I ask you for a prediction, mate, anything you want to, anywhere we can, obviously, we know you've got this book coming out. John, I think you've just sold in advance about 800 copies now for those that are watching this live now. If they've seen an hour of a glimpse of your life, God, you've got to get this book. Can you imagine what that book's going to be like on the back of this?
Oh, there's a lot about Tottenham in there and suffering. Spurs and suffering. And the unsatisfactoriness of being a Spurs fan, that's all in there. Don't worry about that.
The real question is now, John, will there be now a chapter for Hojbjerg on its own? There's got to be a chapter now after the back of this. That can make his own section, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I like the geezer. I think he's a proper footballer. And, right, okay then. Bentancur and Gio Lo Celso will start, right? Who do you really want, Skip or Hojbjerg?
Oh,
I'd rather have Hojbjerg than Skip start. Much more. Yeah. I'd have him as the pivot, He's got I think he's a proper player,
Yeah.
So anyway, but I think we'll win. So anyway, I've got a book coming out. I'm always doing gigs. So I'm always playing. So, we're going to America this year and the American he said to me, we think November would be the best time to for the American market. I said, it's not happening. And he said, do you mind me asking why? Do you have more? I said, Tottenham's football season. So I can't possibly. So I'm doing it in the summer. So it's squeezing just when the football season's over. So, and still waste me life, still hoping. It's like a hopeless gambler. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just hopeless. It's just hopeless. But anyway,
This football club. Do you not find with Spurs fans? They're all similar-minded, aren't they? We've all just been absolutely tortured and just battered over the years, and we're all just absolute wrecks this club has done to us, John, aren't we?
Yeah, well, for a top, we just have underachieved so much, and it is a big beast of a club, Tottenham, and we've just underachieved, and it's like a sort of purgatory, year in, year out. We got Mourinho at last. We knew this geezer's a winner everywhere. The football might not be great, but we know we're going to win stuff, right? No, wrong. Didn't even come near to it. Well, the one final we're in, Daniel sacked the geezer 3 days before. That's Tottenham,
Spurs. So Spurs.
The one you're sacking the one guy who's been not that great, but he's the one guy that knows how to beat Guardiola.
Yeah,
but you've sacked him.
No.
Unbelievable.
Spurs? It's such a Spurs. So Spurs. You can't make it up.
just terrible, so torturous. But anyway, I think we'll win 3-1 against Burnley, and I've got Bentancur, I think, from the edge of the box, Kudelski with a curling shot that people will question whether he meant it as a cross. No, he meant it, and I'll be saying no. He looked up, he knew where the keeper was, he meant it, and Richarlison, a close range header. And that's it. And they'll get a messy goal where we hit the Keystone Cop defending, possibly an own goal even,
Oh, John, I love you, mate. Listen,
I think Vicario will make the first mistake if he plays. He'll make and we'll all say, well, that was the game for it to happen. Was against Burnley.
I'll be amazed if Forster don't start that game, because otherwise, how has that bloke agreed to a new contract with us, Forster? If he's not even getting the cup games, then God help me. I would like Vicario to start, but I can't imagine in any world that.
I'm not. The reason I really hope he does, because it's not just the saves; it's just the fact he's like an outfield player. It means you've got this tempo going all the time. I love the way he gets the ball, because my bugbear in football is keepers who are a bit slow and pick the ball up and scratch their fucking nose and then look up. And by that point, you think if you'd fucking looked up, the fullback was on, or, just a punt upfield was on, but you could just leave you one-on-one with the defender, so they're all dozy dotes, they're another breed. So this geezer's a fucking live wire. And none of us, never any talk of Ray. I wanted Raya. He was me number one. Daniel Levy's a cheapskate. He should have got Ray. Well, no, none of us are saying that now. We're all well happy with this Vicario, who looks an absolute fanatic. I mean, has obviously got the elite mentality, as has that Porro. When he said he come over here and he was getting monstered, he thought, I can't have this. So he got straight in the gym and got to it. Proper stuff. That's winning mentality. You got nowhere. And Daniel just better make sure he costs up and get Dragusin, gets him in, And the Dragusin and Romero will probably become the enforcers in the dressing room, which should be good. They'll be picking up the fines and enforcing everything, So it's all good. Yeah, 2 bullies, 2 red card merchants, smashing. That's what you want. They can take turns in getting suspended,
Literally.
And then we'll know we're on the up when someone puts the nut in a training game. Then we'll know, okay, they really mean it. They're really fired up for this. So anyway,
I tell you what, I dread to think, bringing this guy, just drag us in, whatever we do with this guy, where he's going to end up. But look, I've got to say, I'm going to be speaking to Coity, John, in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going to tell Coity, he's got to let you have the lineup announcement just for once this season. It's got to happen. We've got to have the lineup announcement once. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Love having you on, mate. We'll have you back with us very, very soon. Oh, what a panel. You know what? Bearing in mind, Spurs are in the cup. I was meant to cry after the game, not bloody before it. So let's hope it's not a bad omen. Let's hope we do get the right result. It has been, as always, what I thought, an absolutely epic edition of Last Word on Spurs. Don't tell me this show does not surprise you at every episode it brings you. John, thank you so much, my man. You leave us always wanting more. That's the key of life, right? Thank you so much, mate. You're a diamond. And John's lit the fireworks off in the... I don't know how he's done that, but that's superb.
I don't know how that's happened. I just saw fireworks. What has that happened? That is supernatural. I'm telling you, that is supernatural. I just thought, where the fucking fireworks coming from? No idea. Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, pyrotechnics.
Where's the one night I needed crackers to come in and host this bloody show? I tell you, what a night. John, love you, mate. We'll be with you back soon. Chris, thank you so much.
Legend, man.
I'll tell Ross, you sure you want to come back for more? This doesn't happen every week.
Every
week.
Yeah, of course now. You got Chris and Ross next time. They're perfect. It's great.
We'll make it happen. John, we'll make it happen. Guys, there's been about 1,000 of you watching this live. Thank you so much for all your incredible support. I'm going to somehow get a Kleenex and lay down. God, what a night. What a show. We'll be back with you tomorrow, hopefully on the back of Spurs advancing in the FA Cup. Hopefully no tears on the screens. From the wonderful John Wobble musician, Christina Zandes, and the brilliant Ross producer, remixer. We've been the last one on Spurs. We urge you to keep safe and well. And as always, keep smiling, keep laughing.
How about you, Spurs?